Not alone. Ash moved through the skeletal shell of the auto shop like a ghost tracing old routines. The sun had just begun its slow descent, turning the broken skylight into a sheet of dull gold. Shadows stretched across the cracked floor where vines curled like fingers through the seams. He had just returned from checking the traps. One was tripped but empty. He reset it with methodical care. Back inside, he did another count of the canned food. 2 beans, 1 peaches. The solidified can of yams from his run the other day sat separate and wasn't added to the count. He was pretty sure they weren't going to be edible. Ash exhaled through his nose, slow and steady. The day was quiet, still dangerous, yes, but quiet. Peace as much as this world allowed. He let himself sit beside the fire pit for a moment, feeding it a piece of splintered chair leg. The tarp above flapped with the breeze, the only real noise aside from the soft crackling flame. Then it came. Footsteps. Ash froze, body instantly alert. Not panicked, not yet. But every part of him sharpened. The sound was faint, deliberate, moving along the perimeter. Slow, measured. Not the wind, not an animal. Someone. He reached for his pistol without thinking. Cold steel in his hand, his fingers tightened around it, safety off. He moved to the edge of the garage, crouching low, eyes scanning through a slit in the boarded window. Nothing. The steps had stopped. Ash stayed still for several minutes, waiting. No movement, no sound, no shifting shadows. He stepped outside, silent on the balls of his feet, pistol raised and close to his chest. The yard lay in the soft orange of twilight. Piles of tires, a rusted-out sedan, the remnants of a broken streetlight leaning at an angle. He circled the building, checking every blind spot, every angle of approach. Still nothing. He knelt by the soft dirt near the sidewall, where the sound had come from. Not enough moisture to leave a print. The dust hadn't been disturbed. No scuffs, no overturned leaves, no crushed weeds. But he'd heard it. He knew what footsteps sounded like. Back inside, he locked the door and stood motionless in the center of the shop. His mind ran the sound over again, for distinct steps. Slow. One pause between the third and fourth. Weight wasn't heavy, but not light either. Not a child. Not a limp. Maybe boots? Not hard soles. No clack. Soft treads. Not running. Not shuffling. No drag. Deliberate. Careful. They knew he was here. He didn't question whether the footsteps had happened. That wasn't the problem. The problem was what they meant. Who was it? Why didn't they try the door? Why stop after 4 steps? He replayed the sound again. Maybe it was someone moving past. Maybe scouting. Maybe a test. Ash moved to the door and checked the can wire alarm. Still intact. Then he closed the vent flap above the fire pit, letting the smoke die. He pulled his blanket over the window, erased the shadow his fire cast. He didn't sit. He didn't eat. He just stood in the darkness and listened, trying to fill in what the sound had left behind. Pattern. A clue. Not because he doubted it happened, but because if someone was out there, they were smart. And smart was worse than loud. Ash stood by the boarded-up window, pistol still in his grip, finger off the trigger but ready. Nothing moved outside. Not a single bird. Not a leaf in the wrong place. He tried to listen, but silence had weight now, like it was holding its breath. He crouched beside the window frame, back against the cold wall, and started a list in his head. It might not have been footsteps. That was the first thought that felt like betrayal, because it had sounded like footsteps. But doubt wormed its way in anyway. Doubt was safer than paranoia. Doubt had steps to follow. He forced himself to think it through. Grounded, tactical. Option 1, an animal. He pictured it. Maybe a raccoon. Maybe one of those mangy dogs that prowled through ruins. For legs could still make step-like sounds. He hadn't seen tracks, but maybe it moved too fast. Or never touched the dirt. Or maybe it was on the roof. Could sound travel like that? Ash glanced up at the rust-patched ceiling. A breeze fluttered the tarp above, but it didn't sound the same. Didn't feel the same. He wrote it off. Possible. Not likely. Option 2. Debris shifting. Something fell. He stepped back out into the yard and scanned the clutter again. Tires still stacked. The garbage bin hadn't shifted. The chain hanging from the old hoist still dangled, unmoved. He nudged a plank that leaned against the wall. It barely budged. Wind strong enough to move something wouldn't have stopped after 4 even paces. He filed it lower on the list. Option 3. Structural noise. Expansion, contraction, metal creaking, joints slipping. Sometimes that happened. Rusted bolts giving way, beams settling. But he knew this building like his own bones. Its groans were old companions. He'd never heard it make a sound like that before. Too rhythmic, too intentional. Option 4. The wind, a tricky one. He'd heard wind do strange things, carry voices across alleys, make screams out of open bottles, mimic movement when it swept through collapsed halls. But not here, not now. He stepped outside again and held still. The breeze was gentle, unremarkable, and still his gut pulled tight. He rubbed his hands over his face, then checked the trapdoor bolt again. Still locked. Then the fire pit. Embers now. No smell of smoke outside. Good. No light leaking out. Better. Ash sat down on the edge of his pallet bed, eyes fixed on the rust-flaked door. His hand was steady on the pistol. Breath controlled, but his thoughts wouldn't stop moving. He wasn't spiraling. Not yet. But something in the noise, that sound, had gotten under his skin. Not fear, not panic, just that itch of uncertainty that refused to scab over. He needed more data, a sign, a second sound, a mistake. He needed something to confirm or disprove what he already believed, that someone had been out there watching, waiting, and gone before they left a trace. Or worse, that no one had ever been there at all.